should innovate to survive in current scenario in their career? So very, very relevant question that now the kind of scenario which is there, specifically COVID is all along and industries passing through a different situation. How the quality professionals can innovate into their in their career. Then another participant has asked, what can be the other compelling reason for quality initiative apart from cost benefits or revenue benefits? Another participant is looking for newer ways of calculating ROI for quality programs. Then someone is asking what can be the USP of quality function to make it unique and make a unique business impact. Again, I think we are looking at what new should be done by the quality professional to make it business relevant. Another participant has asked, does quality support strategy? And this I think will very well meet into the title, which we are saying that how quality professionals be enablers for corporate strategy. Then another interesting question which has come from the participant is, how do we shed the perception of quality as a cost center? And there are many more, but I have just picked up a few more where we say that how when we say the economics is the gap is defined by gap between the demand and supply, and quality is meeting the requirements of the customer, then what exactly Qualinomics mean? And that I think is the gist of best two sessions which we have, the term Qualinomics. How the Qualinomics can be defined better, how we can reap benefits from this initiative of Qualinomics, and how we innovate our quality function to be relevant to the business and add value to the business. With these questions, I'm once again very pleased to invite Giridhar Rajagopal, popularly known as Giri, who is currently playing the role of country manager and senior VP at First American India. He is a professional with over 20 years of experience in the industry. He has worked cross-functionally in operations, technology, finance, and management. His areas of focus includes organizational strategy, enhancing leadership potential, improving performance, and also promoting innovation. So I think he is best suited to take us through this expert session where we are looking at Qualinomics, innovation in quality towards revitalized economy. I also would like to take a few minutes before we proceed further and share with you and thank ASQ and Service Knowledge Base who came together, who teamed together to put this whole program. This idea of coming up with the international webinar came very, very new only 4 weeks ago, and in order to celebrate the quality month which is being done across the globe, we said let India Quality Association also come up with something valuable to all the professionals. And I want to thank once again ASQ, Service Knowledge Base, and the entire team of India Quality Association which put together this program, and we are all going to get benefited. So without any further time, I would now invite Mr. Giri to please enlighten us with your experience on how the quality professional can enable corporate strategy. Over to you, Mr. Giri.
Thank you, Anandji. Please stop me if you can't hear me very well, but it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Mr. Bala, and thank you, Archana, for thinking of having me as part of this great program. And it's really wonderful on a Saturday evening, and I deliberately chose to put a cup of coffee. So please sit back and enjoy whatever your favorite cup is. And then we'll use the next 15-20 minutes to really speak about what it means to have quality professionals a seat at the table. So I'll dive directly into a seat at the table, and a seat at the table is probably one of the most common used axioms saying that, hey, do I get to participate in a decision? And And really, the way I look at it, and I'm somebody as an outsider who looks at it, is really, do you have a mindset? Do you have something what I call as a fungible, flexible mindset, which means can you take on a problem and then apply your professional knowledge in order to solve that problem? So this is really going to be the flavor of the next 15-20 minutes. Is it's going to be an outsider's mindset on how to view the quality professional, and therefore how do you get yourself a seat at the table. So with that, I'll just move on onto the next screen, and let me just try and see if I can get this. Yes. And really, and then we are all coming from diverse backgrounds. So I just thought I'll put a level setting slide here, really not to teach you what is strategy, because that's not my forte, but really to borrow the definition from what the Harvard Business School thinks. And really, strategy comes in three parts. The first is, are you really creating a unique proposition? Are you really bringing up a unique idea to the table? Is that something which has been tried and tested? Are you playing safe versus are you thinking what they now say is out of the box or out of the blue, and what they're saying as blue sky thinking? Second is, what are you willing to give away? Most often, this is the hidden agenda. A lot of folks play cards close to the chest, and sometimes we also heard Dr. Smith say in the last few slides, is really, can you socialize? As you socialize, as you interact, what are you willing to give away? It's always a negotiation. A seat at the table is never a win or a lose. It's always about negotiation. So being part of the strategy is always about a negotiation. And lastly, this is probably the most important thing. What does the company really want to do? What is its strategic vision? Where does the company see itself? Where does the company, where you're proposing your idea, where does it see itself? And if these three elements are part of your conversation, are part of your plan, are part of your data gathering, are part of your proposition or your hypotheses, it's important that we bring out these elements as you have a conversation in order to get a seat at the table. So moving forward, and this is really about you as a quality professional. How do you see yourself? And what you see in this slide is not a position, it's not a grade, it's not a title. It's really about how you see your service in the organization that you're serving. So let's just walk up through these three relative positions. The first, do you see yourself as a practitioner, somebody with years and years of experience, lots of projects under your belt, lots of successes, lots of data to show up, and then, but really, you're not solving the problem you have asked a question about. You're solving the problem somebody else has asked a question about. So really, while you're a quality professional with great experience, but you're really a follower. So in a day or in a month or in a year, when you fulfill those goals of the organization, are you following, or is it somebody else's ideas you're solving, albeit the great experience you bring to the table? The second is really, are you consulting out your thoughts?
Giri, just can you increase the volume? There's some feedback from the participants. Just increase the volume, please. Yeah, thank you.
How is it now, Anandji?
Yes, it is much better. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Let me get back to my full screen mode. Let me just leave it there so that I can still talk. So really then, are you a consulting out there? So which means you're going in there, giving a suggestion, and then you're really not participating in seeing how this leads to. And this typically happens when you're probably very new in the organization, or you're not spent enough time in the organization and really don't have a long-term perspective. So which means you're just consulting out your knowledge without really participating in the consequence of the project. This also sometimes just stops you from having a seat at the table. The last mindset or the last role is probably the one we should aspire for. Is, can you really tell a story? Can you tell a story about a problem? Can you tell a story about what, if solved, will create an opportunity for the organization, and therefore can you lead this assignment, and then the various outcomes of budgets, of constraints on what you want to solve, and therefore getting management attention, and therefore at the seat of the table would follow as outcomes. So this is really where I want to focus on and give you a couple of ideas and possibly run you through very brief case studies we have done in my organization, where currently the head of my quality actually leads strategy and is just not supplying the information, or is just not consulting out his knowledge in order to have the strategic mindset that we want to get in the next 3 to 5 years. So I'll move on the next slide.
Prabhu, sorry, Giri, before
Yeah.
you could move on, could you just please put this in the slideshow mode?
Yes, I'll do that.
Yes.
Then. So I've picked up a concept which we use, which is called a dual transformation. And again, I won't get into what it is because there's plenty of information out there about dual transformation. In fact, there is a book. But really, it talks about 3 stages. The stages of where stakeholder investments are flowing. Why is it happening in a transformation in the current state of things? How you run your business and why things are being invested in or not being invested in. What's happening in a disruptive threat, and how do these two come together to create transformation? So this is a concept of dual transformation. Simply said, let's say your organization or you are at the top of your game. Let's think of it like a mountain. Let's call it mountain 1. And you're at the top of your game. And then where do you go from here? Other than climb down, where do you really go from here? So you look for opportunities, you look to increase your market share, you look to increase your top line, you look to increase your bottom line, but really the opportunities are far and few. And over this, suddenly in the distant future, or you think there is a disruptive threat which is emerging. Now think of that as a second mountain, which is slowly growing beside the mountain you've built, the leading market position you've built, which is nibbling away at your market share, or is nibbling away at your customers, is nibbling away at your unique propositions in the market. Then what do we do? How do we then start creating a second mountain of opportunity so that without having to destroy or let go of our position as the number 1 in this mountain, we can actually build up a second mountain. And then dual transformation is really about connecting these 2 mountains and then continuing to lead in the future. Where do we see the quality professional here? Really, that's the whole topic. Right? So how can you make the present better? How can you make your existing mountain, the first one which you're already leading, or you're already having a leading position, or you're already at the head of your game, how can you really make it better? What are those tools? And then we'll briefly see about it in case study 1. And then B, which is creating the new mountain. How do you want to invent the future? What is it that you can lead as a result of inventing the future? These are the future opportunities which you can create and actually lead, which then you bring together is creating new capabilities. And creating new capabilities could end up creating a new business, a new division, maybe even a new geography. And then this creates more leadership positions, which today quality professionals being participate in these new invention of the future can actually go forward and start leading as a generalist, maybe even as a CEO or even in other leading positions, because you're deeply involved in creating these new capabilities. So this is really the positioning which I think will be strategically required for a quality leader at this point of time, so that you can either make the present better and help the company continue keeping its leading position, or invent the future, therefore creating new capabilities. So let's dive into the case study. Making the present better, and I think again we've seen a lot of this, or we've participated in a lot of these improvement programs, but it's really about how do you continue to identify what's to do more. There is always something to do more. So in this case study, one of the things that we identified is really how do we beat competition which is moving from a fixed cost structure, a fixed capacity, to a really variable capacity, which is using automation, which is using AI, which is also using a lot of data in terms of delivering its service and changing the way a service is delivered from India to a partner in the US, and therefore having an impact of dropping the cost, improving turnaround times, and then obviously trying to meet up with sudden capacity increases. Our business is a cyclical business. We support the US real estate market, and therefore many months are there where volumes will be super high, and there are some months where it's almost flat. So really, how do you keep an optimum cost structure? How do you retain your people? How do you ensure that you are able to service your customer in real time, even in spite of these changes in the market season? So the things we did in order to make better possibilities of our current state, we developed a lot of centers of excellence. So we had quality professionals seeded in every part of the business. We run about 16 lines of businesses today, totaling to about 500 crores of Indian rupees, about $80 million. We seeded quality professionals. These are not outsiders, but business professionals whom we developed within the businesses, who really understand how to run the businesses and advise the business in order to deliver better. So there is no real separation between how the delivery works and the COE works, but the quality professional will always report up into the scorecard to keep an independence of thought. There is always pride in the fact that your business is doing really well, but it's always trust but verify when it comes to data. Then creating new frameworks. How do you create new frameworks for a product, for a service, for your customer, and most importantly, how do you upskill your people? So we created what we call as the excellence framework, and every organization has its name, but really it's made up of the 4 quadrants: people, process, technology, and obviously we wanted to also create a code quality when we do technology. How do we increase our code quality so that it's first time right, and there are no breakdowns when we deploy a new code into operations? Create a lot more feature innovations. Create AI incorporated OCR technology. We have about 6 billion documents today. So we created an OCR technology which basically reduces 10 to 20% in terms of human effort. So improve the features. Create service delivery excellence, not just about delivering a piece of service, but how do you deliver end-to-end service? Create a lot of voice of customer programs. This I'm particularly proud of, where our quality professionals provided great input independently from a customer in order to improve where we delivered and how we delivered. So this was another aspect where we made the present better. Create plenty of scorecards. These scorecards typically sometimes can also lead to fatigue, but more importantly, align these scorecards so that they start telling a story. If you go back a couple of slides, you see getting to be the storyteller rather than just leave the data out there. Can you go into that room and say, what do you see? What patterns are emerging? How does the future look like? And where is our strength? Where is it that we are losing? Lastly, first time right, reduce the cost of quality, can continue to ensure that we continue to stay cost effective. Ultimately, if you get too expensive, that's a clear indication that something is really not working the way we want it to. So all of this is world A, and this is a lot of it. I'm sure a lot of our professionals are already doing. The question is again, how are you telling the story? And really then let me move on to the plan B, or what I call as leading the future or inventing the future. And this is the framework again, wherein we are trying to pick up signals from what the market is heading to, where the competition is coming from. What is it that we need at this point of time? So here is where I think there is some level of talking and mixing up with the businesses and really understanding the why of the business. Why does this business exist? What is the problem the business is trying to solve? And then starting to hold what we call today as either a hackathon, an ideathon, a marathon of ideas, and really onboarding these ideas. And in design thinking philosophy, we call this the divergence of ideas. Get a whole lot of funnel of ideas, but really the quality professionals can do a great job because they understand the business so well. There's so much of data they go through. Can you funnel it into those 2 to 3 ideas? Can you really spot the winning idea? Can you ensure that you advise your board or your CEO or the folks who are investing into these ideas, which are the 2 winners you should really pick? Can you work along with the CFO? Can you work along with the CTO or the CDO to pick those winner ideas so that this then becomes the ideas of the future? So we have run these programs. Again, we have run programs where we've had hundreds of ideas, but funnels into 1 or 2 ideas. Again, in the area of real estate, we've contributed in digitizing the customer experience, and really how does this improve the customer experience and reduce the cycle time of a particular transaction. And the industry is moving from a 45-day cycle to a 3-day cycle. And so that's really where we want to go. So this is another case that we have used our leading the cycle of innovation, where quality professionals have played a great part in funneling down those ideas and picking up winning ideas. And these winning ideas today incorporate AI, incorporate automation, and then they're then deployed onto the next systems within the organization. So another great positioning where I see quality professionals can get a seat at the table. So really, I'll leave you with this thought as we kind of move into the end of this session, and say it's really not what you put into it. It's really what the customer gets out of it. And that's from one of my favorite strategy gurus, which is Peter Drucker. And this is the thought I really want to leave. And I've got about 5 to 6 minutes left of the allotted time, and then opening it up for any questions that I can take at this point.
Thank you very much, Giri. It was wonderful listening to you, and you really walked us through various dimensions of the business and linking it to the quality profession. I would request Arvindan, if there are questions on the chat box, please help us with the questions. Otherwise, I have a list of questions which probably I will put across.
Yeah, I'm yet to see the questions coming up on it, so probably you can start with your questions, and as soon as I get the questions, I will come back.
Okay, sure. So the first question, I think, which is again asked, is very clearly, as the new normal is setting in, what kind of innovations do you think the quality professionals should do to stay relevant? And there are things like work from home and so many other new normals getting defined.
So I'll start right away. I think the best area which I feel a quality professionals to start off is what I call as data patterning. So one of the areas we have seen quality professionals contribute is because they're so used to handling data, leading projects, especially with Six Sigma frameworks or Lean Six Sigma frameworks. It's easier for them than most other professionals within the organization to start patterning data. And I think this is a number one requirement given the amount of data any organization generates today, creating data lakes, data warehouses. They should stay attached to the analytics and the data group within the organization and help creating data models and patterns. That's, I think, a huge area where they can contribute.
Okay, thanks very much. The other question is about when things are getting online, and also this leads to cyber security threat. How do you really play around these two things of taking quality assurance activities online and also safeguarding against the cyber threats?
I mean, that's a fantastic question, and I think this is a question which is probably the most hotly debated question: how much offline and how much should go within the organization. But then again, I ask what's changing around us. I mean, we distinctly see three things changing around us in the way we view security. Definitely, cloud adoption has accelerated maybe 10x than it was pre-COVID, which means now everybody wants to get into the cloud and make their data mobile. So there is a definite trend towards mobility. Now, the second trend which we have to think about as quality professionals is once mobility happens, what kind of new age practices that we need to change, because data is now going to be everywhere. And then really the differentiation between what's your data versus my data is really getting blurred. And that's the real challenge. The real challenge is to see till what extent is my data versus your data. And the third and important trend, and this is where it gets really difficult, is how do we democratize tools? Why should we have 3 different or 5 different or 7 different tools within an organization to find out whether my data is secure? Why can't we use common platforms in order to ensure that we bring in the standardization even in security practices? Why should we need to run multiple platforms so that systems can automatically talk to one another, and really the security part of it can be handled by the system, while the verification and possibly the certification would still have to be done by a human at this point of time?
Okay, I think very well answered. I move to the next one. By the time Arvindan, you may scan through if there's any question.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, so let me put it mine, or maybe you go ahead and then I'll put the other question. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So there is one question from Mr. Hariharan. So the question is, how do we reinvigorate the quality to adopt to the VUCA environment?
That is a VUCA world.
Yes, the VUCA.
The volatile, uncertain, complex, and ad hoc world. Yeah,
Exactly.
VUCA world.
That's a VUCA. Yeah.
Okay.
No, absolutely. And I'll just answer it with just one area which we are using at this time more from practice, and is to demolish what we call as all holy cows within the organization. A lot of things which say cannot be done can be now done with VUCA. I mean, said they could never do sitting at home, could never do online, is all been done online. A lot of companies have also said, hey, I think people are doing much better. People are in a better social setting. I know people are missing social interactions. So the way when VUCA works is actually to have a management team which actually goes away and start thinking, why can't we do stuff differently? What is it that's really causing us this problem? Who's eating away at our unique value proposition in the market? And then come back and start making smaller plans to start taking on what could, over a period of time, be a huge change in the organization.
Okay, thank you. I again would put the question which I had said in the beginning. Also, maybe you would like to, you would like to give few tips as a business leader, which comes very often from the quality people. That how do we shed this perception of quality as a cost center? Why everybody looks at that it is a cost, it is a cost. As a business leader who has a very much appreciation for the value being added from the quality, what maybe 3 tips you would like to give to the quality professionals to break this perception?
No, absolutely. And I always say, cost again is something and everybody worries about it, but nobody really understands it. I mean, that's the first thing about cost. So a cost is sometimes possibly even a loss of revenue, a possible loss of even your bottom line. But really, how do you take, and most of us try to work on the bottom line today. Most of us worry about, let me reduce the cost so that my bottom line increases, and that way the CEO is happy, or the CDO who's responsible for delivering a bottom line is happy. But really then, how do we grow the top line? How do you bring in new levels of service? So whenever there is a cost program, again, I go back to the question of asking, what does this really solve? Does it solve a temporary issue, or is this opening up a wide opportunity? I go back to the framework which I shared briefly, which is the dual transformation. Really, while cost will solve A, can you also start a project in B as a quality professional? Can you tell the story that, hey, I'll do A for you, it will give you 6 months of relief, 1 year of relief, but if you invest something in B, it's going to create something new in the next 18 months, which will increase your top line at this time. So the conversation needs to be tempered with A and B together in it.
Thank you very much. Arindan, do you have anything? We have 3 more minutes before
we have a whole lot of questions. Probably we will take 1 or 2 based on the time. This question is from Praveen. The question is, quality professionals are typically focused on adherence to requirements and shy away from innovation. As a leader, what should one do to motivate quality professionals to come out of this shell and contribute to innovation?
So I'll think about it this way. I think we cannot give away our job as an independent professional. I think sometimes what we call as the bread and butter of our job depends on what we do best, which is certification or delivery of a particular standard, and then assuring everybody things are working well. But at the same time, we should strive to move this from 100% of what we do to maybe what I call as the 60, 30, 10. 60% over a period of time should move. The 30% should be a new value you've discovered, maybe a new project you want to lead, and leave really 10% for learning. 10% is always good to leave learning, because unless you're learning, you're not looking at the future. And a lot of us tend to do 130%. and that really burns you out. And my request is, if a quality professional has to start changing a track, is to start reducing a little bit and then start increasing working on newer projects in the available time. And that requires good mentorship within the organization. A lot of it, what I said, is also depending on the culture of the organization. There has to be a culture of mentorship in the organization or even outside at this time. And I think the general trend in the industry, and today's seminar is a great example of mentorship, what Mr. Anand was talking about at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Giridhar. Anand, do we have time for another question? One last question, or we can move on?
Yeah, go ahead. I think we have, yeah.
One interesting question is, how do we get the confidence of other people on the table to do a leader's role of a storyteller? So this is from Karthik Modi.
Right, and I'll try and answer this without being political about any meeting, because all of us know that there are several agendas in a meeting. But again, being a storyteller also involves to understand the story. And every story has a plot, which means you really need to know what the plot of a meeting is and how does it fit in the larger strategy of the organization. We need to know the people in that story, which is who's the leader, who's the protagonist, who's the antagonist, and who are the people in the room who can influence. And there is another concept, it's called the concept of shadow negotiation, which means most meetings are already done even before the meeting is called for, which means discussions have happened outside of the meeting. People just gather to confirm each other's thoughts. So a lot of shadow negotiation needs to happen, which means we need to walk around. A lot of time we spend very nicely in making in presentations or data charts. That's great. But who are the supporters in the meeting? Who's going to support you? Who's going to be the voice that will support you? Do you know that before you go into the meeting? And therefore, do you know what support you will get for your idea in the meeting? So these are some work which I think as professionals, as we go higher up in the ladder, we need to specialize in trying to gather influence before getting into that meeting room.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Giridhar. There is one more interesting question. Assuring quality in a healthcare environment is bound to increase the cost. So how do you explain this to the patients or to the insurance companies? In a sector like healthcare, where patients can choose from so many other options, how do we rationalize higher cost and still remain relevant?
So I represent some level of an insurance company's expertise. I don't claim to be a healthcare professional, so I'll probably answer it from an insurer's viewpoint. And really, the insurer is trying to take a call in terms of when they collect a premium or they try to put a business today. And again, it goes back to data. If we need to improve assurance quality without impacting a consumer, the consumer obviously will always want to pay less. The insurance company will want to pay less. Again, this is a great problem for technology to solve. In terms of what is the confidence level that we can gather by doing a clinical procedure, by using an equipment, by seeing a particular health professional, the chances of recovery are better. Today we have huge healthcare programs. There is a lot of data. There is a lot of AI also playing in this data with IBM Watson dedicating programs just for healthcare. So how much of this can we really turn into a prediction model at this time? That could be a way to look at improving assurance without really impacting the customer.
Thank you. That question was from Dr. Uday Pratap Singh. Just one more question from Shobita. The quality processing activities hamper with the work from home kind of a situation. There are a lot of restrictions on data access across customers. So there seems to be a need to reinvent. So how do we see this change to be adopted?
So we have similar issues. There are a couple of clients who just won't allow people to work from home because they feel the customer data will be compromised. So, the short answer is a hybridized model, which is really looking and re-engineering that whole process to what can really be done offline versus what absolutely needs to be done in a group, in a secure environment. And again, there is this whole concept of can we work 2 days in office and 3 days offline at home? So can we re-engineer it? And again, how much of it can be done in a way that can we create a secure portal? And again, in our organization, we have created secured workspaces where people can actually go and collaborate and actually do activities which they otherwise will not be able to do in just one person, so that there is a maker, checker, approver kind of an approach within a secured environment. So there are a couple of models which are emerging at this point of time. And this has evolved into really re-engineering the way we look at a process, because some of our processes are not made to work seamlessly, work from home, work from office, or work from anywhere. So this is an opportunity I feel again for quality professionals.
Okay, thank you. Do we have time, Anand? Or
yeah, no, I think now we have to move to the next item.
Right. Okay.
And on behalf of ASQ, India Quality Association, and Service Knowledge Base, we thank you very much, Giri, for sharing your valuable insight, experience, and addressing the questions which the participants put forth. I am Anand Prakash, the host for this evening, convener India Quality Association. Once again, welcome you all, and we are moving to the next and the final segment, which is panel discussion, and we have the panelists already there with us. I'll just check with one more panelist joining in. Before I invite Chandra Kumar Raman, who is leading the service knowledge base, for introducing you about the topic of the panel discussion, and also our member who will do the facilitation for this discussion. I will take this time to share with you, as a part of the registration process, we also did a small survey, and some findings which are very much in line with what we have been going to discuss as a part of the panel discussion, where we said that what do you understand by the term Qualinomics, because this is a term which is not very popular as of now, but certainly after the panel discussion we will have a better insight. So 53.3% of the participants in the survey say it is quality and economics, which is pretty simple understanding maybe, and then 38.3% says influence of quality on economics, and another small percentage are spread over quality and finance, and probably none of the above. So this is clearly saying that the Qualinomics has to talk about the influence of quality on economics and how it relates with the financial results, and we will certainly have a better insight when we listen to the panel discussion. The second question in the survey we had asked was, do you think quality and innovation are interrelated? Because sometimes there is a myth that they are at loggerheads. Quality systems, the standardization does not give scope for innovation. So this question was put with this purpose, and very interesting result, 88.3% of the people have said that quality and innovation are interrelated. So certainly when we go through the panel discussion, we have a innovation evangelist participating as one of the panelists. We certainly we get many tips and tips of how the innovation can coexist with quality and actually make the quality more effective. We also had the question on what do they think are the best combinations. Now combinations like quality and risk, quality and innovation, quality and economics, quality and artificial intelligence, or quality related to innovation, AI combined. So large percentage of 40% of the participants of the survey are relating quality with innovation, with the next 25% talking about quality and economics, and then we have 18.3 and 13.3% relating it to quality and value add and quality and artificial intelligence. So certainly with the artificial intelligence coming in again and again, and we know in other questions also there was an expectation on how the new technologies are going to impact in the era of Industry 4.0. So certainly we will listen in our panel discussion how this technology is actually playing out as far as the innovation and the new era quality expectations are. So these are some of the three. These are the three survey questions which we had analyzed, and then I also would like to use this opportunity to share with all of you briefly before we start the panel discussion, because I'm just making use of this 2 minutes here. The mission with which India Quality Association was formed. The mission was in 2 parts. One is towards the enterprise and second one is towards the quality professional. So to enable organizations to achieve excellence in business and operations through context relevant quality management and business excellence frameworks, methods and initiatives. And that's where we are trying this environment, what is most relevant to the business to deliver business excellence. And the second part of the mission statement of India Quality Association is to provide a platform for the quality management and business excellence professionals to share, learn, evolve, and adopt successful best practices towards enriching their professional journey and contribution to the industry. So when we were looking at this seminar, this is the mission which was driving us to come to this. Now we are 1959. It's my pleasure now to move on to the panel discussion, and I request Chandra to please introduce the topic of the panel and also the moderator. And then I request moderator of the panel discussion to please introduce other panelists. I'm just checking our other panelists. 3 panelists are already there. Let me check the 4th one, and then over to you, Chandra. Chandra, are you there? Chandra, you can unmute yourself.
Anand, can you send the link to Pavan again? He's having some issues in joining.
Yeah, Archana. Yeah, Archana, can you please send it?
Sure.
I will immediately make him a panelist.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So, Chandra, you may please maybe introduce the topic and our moderator for the session.
Chandra wants to be made
Chandra,
as a panelist.
He's
Okay.
in the panelist.
He's already there in the panel.
He just needs to unmute himself.
Yeah. And let me see the moment Pavan joins in, I will make him the.
Chandra, are you able to unmute and speak, please?
So as Chandra walks into and starts sharing it, let me then use this opportunity to also share about the 6 charter points on which India Quality Association is working. One charter is related to competency development. Second charter is related to standards and model support. The third is focusing on the knowledge management. Fourth is about quality culture promotion, where we want to even go to the academia and build the quality culture at the grassroots level. The 5th one is about the portfolio management. How do we really create a master portfolio of the value which can be delivered by the quality team? And last but not the least is very interesting, and from where this topic of Qualinomics has come in, rising to the occasion. So when we get this unprecedented situations like the impact of COVID and the industry 4.0 technology is coming in, how the quality function actually rises to the occasion is what drove this charter point, actually drove this today's topic. So again, now I request Chandra to please introduce the topic of the panel discussion and also the moderator for the panel. And let me see if Mr. Pavan has joined. I just get him into the panel.
Chandra needs to be unmuted.
Chandra, he's unmuted.
Yeah, wait, has Pavan joined in? Because I'm not able to see him in the.
I think we can start off even when Pawan is trying to join.
Yeah, sure. So once the Chandra unmutes and yeah, Chandra, over to you. Is there any challenge in Chandra unmuting?
Chandra is unmuted.
Yeah, so let him.
There's a
yeah. Yeah, Chandra, over to you. Please introduce our moderator for panel discussion, Ved, and also about the topic. I think he's facing some challenge. So may I request, it's an extreme pleasure to have Ved Prakash, who actually does not require an introduction in terms of the work he's doing in the area of knowledge management. The knowledge management, which is, he's a globally known personality in the area of knowledge management. He has worked in the business areas, and then he has set up knowledge management practice in many of the business organizations and also in the consulting organizations. And it was really thankful to Ved that he agreed to moderate today's session. Without talking much over here, I will request and invite Ved to please share the topic of the panel discussion as well as the panelists to the audience which we have. Thank you very much. Welcome, Ved, once again.
Thank you, Anand. It's a pleasure addressing this audience, and it's a pleasure with the kind of co-panelists I have for today's session. I'll request the co-panelists to please switch on your videos. And Pawan just now messaged that he's in, so if you could promote him as a presenter.
Sure, I'll just do that.
Yeah, there's Professor Mahesh, Professor Vijay Sundar, and Dr. Pawan should be coming on. Yeah, so let me start while Pawan also appears on the screen. So good evening, all of you again. And
he's there now.
He's there, yeah. So I'd like to thank India Quality Association, Anand and SM Bala, Service Knowledge Base, which is Chandra, and the ASQ for inviting me over to this program. I'm very delighted to be here. It's the Quality Month going on globally, and I'm very, very happy to be moderating this particular panel on innovation in quality towards revitalized economy in the context of a new term that I am also in the process of learning called Qualinomics. So in the previous session, Giri ended his talk with a quote from Peter Drucker, where he talked about quality is not what you put into the product or service, it is what the customer gets out of it. A very valuable quote that finally it is all about the customer. It's not about what you are doing internally and feeling happy about it. And at the same time, the kind of perception that is carried within organizations about functions like quality and knowledge management comes out very clearly in a fairly recent research survey that was carried out by an organization called LLS Research. And there, the results were pretty stark. Only 37% of organizations believe quality is critical for customer satisfaction. So this was pretty shocking. Whereas we would like to believe that 100% of organizations believe quality is critical for customer satisfaction. We talk of ISO, CMMs, etc., etc. Going on with the survey results, 26% say that quality function has a clear and compelling role in delivering corporate strategy. So the linkage between quality and corporate strategy, only 26% of organizations see it that way. So 1 in 4, you could say. So there's a big gap between what quality needs to do and what they expect they are doing versus what the organizations perceive them to be doing. And when it comes to quality as a priority for top management, only 13% of firms said that it is a priority. Right, and here we are talking of not just the services sector, we are also talking of manufacturing and other sectors. So, so very eye-opening as a current perception of quality. But at the same time, now quality 4.2, which is moving in tandem with the industry 4.0, it represents an opportunity for quality teams to clearly align their objectives and practices with the strategic aims of the organization. Okay? There is another survey conducted by KPMG which looked at what is the value added due to quality. So this was more inward focus, more data oriented. And what they came up with was something interesting, and I'd like to acknowledge Chandra for sharing the survey with me. So every dollar invested in quality leads to $6 increase in revenues. So that's 6x times returns in that sense. $16 reduction in cost. So that's a 16x return. What Gary was talking about the cost optimization and productivity improvement part of it. And $3 increase in profits. So that's the top, the overall net profit growth that happens. So this is very positive when you look at a purely data oriented one versus a perception oriented one. So there's definitely a difference between what data shows, and again this could be extrapolated data because I don't know the innards of what KPMG looked at, but the perception definitely there's a big gap. Now coming to the term Qualinomics and the understanding that all of you showed with respect to responding to the survey questions, and Anand read some of it, quality and economics. Yes, it's a conjunction of the two words. And in this panel, we will have the panelists also talking about this aspect of it. But just to sort of give you a view of how Qualinomics is working in the real industry sectors. So I came across this case study from Daimler Chrysler. So this is a large automobile company in the US, 100 years or so. And obviously they used to be big, but then the Europeans and Japanese took over. So in the past, so all of you are familiar that for the automotive sector, the supply chain plays an important role. There are up to like 5,000, 7,000 components that go into building an automobile. And without the supply chain being there, a car cannot be put together or a vehicle cannot be put together. So whenever there was an issue with the supply chain, historically, the company would just fire the supplier and come up with a new one. Not a very efficient way of doing things because finding a new supplier takes time. You have to go through a validation process and all that. What did they do next? They came up with standards for supplier quality. Okay? So the focus was more on, okay, here are the standards. Mr. Supplier X, are you following the standards or not? If you're not following, then do something about it. But it was a hands-off relationship. Just show me that you're following the standards. So that was the compliance role that quality was playing, a very hands-off role. The new approach is to work with them in case quality is subpar. So look at them as partners, not as somebody who's a supplier in that sense, right? So what did Daimler Chrysler do? They created something called a quality assurance and audit team, which was basically their own experts would go and sit with the supplier to find out the root cause and what kind of issues were happening because of which their output was poor. And that was impacting obviously the end product, which was the car, right? So what were some of the benefits of doing that when you started approaching them with a partnership approach, right? First and foremost was obviously your own throughput became better. Right. The second was the supplier also ended up improving their performance with other customers of theirs. So all these OEM suppliers are not just dedicated to one manufacturer, but to multiple manufacturers. So there was a general gain that happened in the ecosystem of that supplier. But then there was an unintended benefit as well, where the knowledge transfer, and this is where I'm putting up my KM hat. The knowledge transfer took on a life of its own. It's a kind of what we call trickle-down Qualinomics. And this is something I read just yesterday, actually, this particular case study. And the term trickle-down Qualinomics. So where Daimler Chrysler shares its quality expertise with its tier 1 suppliers, who in turn pass on this knowledge to the other divisions of theirs. And not only that, they in turn use the same methodology with the tier 2 suppliers, that is their own suppliers and beyond. So the chain continues, and as knowledge works its way through the automotive supply chain, all companies learn how to efficiently produce products with reduced defects. So when you look at the impact of quality, and I would call this as an innovative practice in terms of going and directly working with the suppliers or partners as they're called now, right? And then the effect of it on the top line and bottom line of every single entity in the value chain. So that's the power of Qualinomics when you start looking at it in a different way. I mean, with that kind of an introduction, let me now pass it on to the panels, and I'll invite first Dr. Satyadev Mahesh, A brief introduction to him. So welcome Dr. Satyadev Mahesh.
Hello.
He is a professor of management and information sciences at University of New Orleans since 36 years. So that's a long innings and a very distinguished innings at that. He's a PhD from Purdue, one of the Ivy Leagues in engineering. He did an MBA from Oklahoma State University, and he's an engineer from IIT Madras before he drifted to the other continent. His primary interest lies in the area of system development. In the past, he has worked on application development and total quality management as well, very extensively. And as a very, very senior professor, he has been a student of Indian economy, especially the unorganized sector, the supply chain issues that arise in unorganized sectors. So I'll invite Dr. Mahesh to talk about institutional quality and its impact on economy, and also your perspectives on Qualinomics as a term. So I am looking forward to hearing your views, learning from that in the process. So welcome, Professor Mahesh, and over to you.
Thank you. Can I get the content here to share my screen?
Yes, it's the third icon from the left
Right,
at the bottom.
but when I click that, I'm not able to get anything. I'm not able to share my screen.
Anand, you as the host would. Anand, can you pass?
Okay. Even Giri was able to make his presentation. So technically, I do not see any issue, because if I'm making most lot of other work, admin work will move to him. So just click on the share content and it will come up.
That's what I'm doing. I'm clicking on share content and nothing is popping up.
Anand, the host right is it, the presenter right is also with you. You need to pass on the presenter right to him.
Presenter, okay. Just 1 second.
Okay.
And you need to unmute Chandra. I think Chandra was having some issue, please. I see him unmuted.
Do you want to presenter? Yeah. Do you want to send the presenter to? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. That should share it. Are you able to see my PowerPoint?
Yes, yes, very much. Very much. Thank you.
Okay, when this request came for the panel, I looked at what I would talk about. And I'm just, please, can you confirm that you can hear me? I just want to make sure you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you very well, and we can see your presentation also. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So the question is Qualinomics, and what do we do with it, and does it refer to just a single company or to the national economy? And so I decided I would look at it as to how quality accounting, Qualinomics, would help the national economy, what we need to do with it. So here's what it is: Qualinomics, accounting for quality, collecting the data, processing it, using it to make our business better. Just briefly, we all know the quality movement started with a big focus on manufacturing production quality, and then migrated many lessons learned to service quality. The origin is still there. Most of what we do in quality starts out with a manufacturing example, in an automobile plant or a steel mill. When we migrate to services, there is a small change in that now customer satisfaction becomes much more important. There are lots of changes in the way in which we need to implement quality, measure it, monitor it, improve it. Now, the argument linking quality to medium-term business performance has been conclusively made. There are numerous studies that show that. And I use the term medium-term with deliberate emphasis. In the short run, when you implement a quality program, you may or may not have immediate improvements. If you promise a 6-month return on investment, that's not going to happen. In the short run, it may take time and effort to invest in quality. But in the medium term, by and far, most companies do well. In the long run, once again, all bets are off. We have companies that did a lot in quality that haven't survived after 30 years. So that's a different issue. Motorola got chopped up and sold in parts. So quality implementation does not automatically provide cost savings. That takes time. If you are focused on improving quality, customers may be happy, they see better quality, but unless you communicate to the customer and to potential other customers that you have improved quality, you don't get any benefits from it. So a part of this problem is, especially with the services, not only do we need to produce good quality, we need to communicate that to people. And we are looking at it from a national economic perspective. So what do we measure? Quality movement, its measurement started out with technical measures of quality. The size of a table, the strength of a steel bar. That's appropriate for engineered products. When it's services, it becomes customer satisfaction. And this is where we start seeing a lot of challenges in measuring and improving quality. The biggest thing now is lean techniques, which focus on eliminating waste, reducing and eliminating waste. This is the way I look at it. If we reduce waste in the production or service delivery process, that leads to overall economic growth, since previously wasted resources can be reallocated to other sectors. So that's the broad economic perspective of quality. Now, where has it worked in the last 40 years? For the industrial sector, which faces intense global competition, every manufacturing business has a quality implementation program. More in some cases, less in others, but they all have it. So from a macro perspective, you're not going to see that much improvement today by going in with a new TQM program, a quality program, in an automobile factory. They've already done it for 40 years. So you look at the competitive customer-focused sector. For the U.S., I would say McDonald's. They are in a very competitive field. They've already implemented a lot of quality improvement. Again, the benefits are going to be limited. So where will we see improvements in quality? Where should we seek improvements in quality? And I call this as the protected service sector. Now, what do I mean by protected? This means the segment of the economy that is either hidden from view, something we don't even study most of the time, because we study automobile industry, we study software, we study all these five-star industries. But there's this huge segment that is protected by various, barriers that we don't study. Sectors such as government and quasi-government agencies. How do you make the Tesla's office more efficient? Those are natural monopolies. They don't face competition. Their track record, again, that I have seen, not very good. They all have a quality department, but nothing really improves. In India, there's this other huge unorganized sector. Small farms, about half of the population, unregistered businesses, your little cart that sells food on the street, domestic service, grows of people, and there's almost no focus on the quality of that sector. They work very hard, but there is no systematic collection, documentation, and improvement of the quality of that sector. That's where we will see the biggest economic gains from Qualinomics. Now, these are sectors that face competitive pressures. A farmer who faces competition may or may not succeed, has lots of stress, but they have access to very low-cost labor pools. Now, one of the lessons we learn in TQM, going all the way back, is have a stable, long-term workforce, train and motivate them and work with them. Consider what happened when we had the virus. Crores of migrant workers walking across the country back to their villages. When you have access to very low-cost labor pools, that gives you an efficiency. You don't monitor the way the labor is used and become more efficient. There are market structures that inhibit improvement. You protect them from market competition, they don't improve. So that's the sector of the economy that will benefit the most from Qualinomics, that can see the biggest improvement. Okay? So how can we accomplish this? I go back to the basic concept of statistical quality control. What did Dr. Deming argue about in the TQM movement? The idea is collect, analyze, and disseminate quality data to everybody involved in the task. The people who do the job must see that quality data. Quality is not a separate quality department. Quality is everybody's job. They can visualize and see the quality picture and improve the quality of their work. So if you have a farmer growing tomatoes, they should know what percentage of their tomatoes are damaged from the farm to the kitchen. That's something that we need to know. So you can provide a clearinghouse to collect and disseminate performance benchmarks. One of the first things we do in any organized sector industry is look at industry benchmarks. If I'm a hospital, what does the average hospital do? What does the award-winning hospital do? How does the top 10% perform, the bottom 10%? That's what we need to begin quality. We need that for the unorganized sector. For every one of those industries, collect and process and deliver this data. So in this sector, every individual will now have a picture of how they fare relative to the competition. Okay? If you have a street vendor, they will know how the average street vendor, how much time it takes, the top 10 percentile, the bottom 10 percentile. That's important if you want to improve the overall economy using Qualinomics. I end with just a couple of things. This is from Dr. Deming's TQM lectures. You have a process that is skewed, okay, and a steep cliff and rocks. This is what's known in TQM as the cliff and rock scenario. That is an off-centered process. There are lots of defects. These defects are inspected out of the system, which is very inefficient, a lot of waste, and this is what slips through the inspection process. You will never have 100% quality. You also have a lot of waste. So this is a textbook example. It goes to say a picture is worth 1,000 words, the value of visualization. Now, I'd add a caveat to that. A picture is worth 1,000 words only if you know how to read the picture. For somebody who doesn't understand quality, who hasn't done histograms, this doesn't make any sense. So that's the point. What we need in Qualinomics is train people, large numbers of people at every level, in how to interpret that data and collect and provide this data to individuals in the unorganized sector. And the last image here, this is classic Kanban with material, containers. The whole idea was to, limit inventory and reduce, wastage. Used in industry, used in software concepts, in Agile with a backlog. We can do that to improve the supply chain efficiency. Design containers or products, say like fresh food and fresh vegetables, so that the damage is less. Reusable containers that come back, it's a process by which we can reduce wastage in the system. That's Six Sigma Lean. So to summarize, the thrust of this argument here is the unorganized sector is the sector of the economy that will most benefit from quality. It's also the one where we have the least effort in quality. Most of it is focused on, quote unquote, the 5-star sector. So how do we introduce that? What do we do? What kind of apps can be developed for it? That's the kind of focus I'd like to give to the next wave of quality improvement. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Mahesh. That was very insightful.
Shut down my screen, so stop, and that should give you back control.
Yeah, so I think that has left us with some food for thought because a lot of attendees over here are not belonging to the government, quasi-government, or the unorganized sector. So how do we really take the quality message over there in its true spirit? That is something that we are left with. I request all the attendees to please ask your questions in the chat window, the Q&A window. And right now we'll move forward with the next panelist. We'll come back to the questions. Okay, I'd now like to introduce Dr. Pavan Soni. He calls himself an innovation evangelist, a very well-known figure in the innovation circles across India and outside of India as well. He's the founder of Inflection Point Consulting. He founded it 4 years back, which consults leading organizations on innovation, design thinking, creativity. Those are his pet topics. He also mentors startups. He's with NSR-CEL, which is the incubation cell of IIM Bangalore. He's a TEDx speaker, so very impressive on that. He has worked in the past with Wipro and Tata Group, and he's an engineer with his basic education. He was a gold medalist in electronics and communication engineering. Then he went to the prestigious NITI, where he did his MBA, and finally a doctoral program from IIM Bangalore before starting out on his own. He also works as an adjunct faculty at IIM Bangalore as well as ISB Hyderabad. And one of the interesting things that probably Pawan can start by talking about is about his upcoming book on design thinking, which is again one of his pet passions. He goes around consulting on design thinking with corporations. So over to you, Pawan, and I know based on his interest area, probably he can also answer the question whether quality inhibits innovation or does it promote innovation, or how is the relationship between the two. So over to you, Pawan, and welcome to the panel.
Thank you so much, Ved. I appreciate that. So can I get the control rights to share my presentation?
Yes, done that.
Yeah,
done that. Yeah, Pawan. Over to you. Over to you. Yeah.
Okay. Welcome everyone. I really appreciate you taking time and joining me today. That means a lot to me. So what I'm going to talk about today in the session is the whole perspective on how quality brings a tremendous amount of discipline to the pursuit of innovation. We all want to be creative individuals and we want to run companies which are highly innovative, but then we need to understand that where does quality bring in that amount of focus. So to Ved's question, here is my starting point of view, the yin and the yang. So yin and the yang is a very famous Tao concept, a Zen philosophy that talks about that how the good and the bad, the positive and the negative complement each other. And in the realm of innovation and quality, we need to think of discipline and chaos as a yin and yang, which are required together for innovation to happen. If I were to talk about people in a creativity class and say that creativity can be a matter of process or a matter of system, people would dismiss it altogether. They say that, creativity cannot be straight-jacketed. That is partly correct, but mostly wrong. The key for creativity is that if you look at some of the world's most innovative organizations and some of the world's most creative individuals, you would realize that they're highly disciplined. If you pick up a Roger Federer, if you pick up Bruce Lee, if you pick up Michael Jordan, or any of these accomplished people, they were highly disciplined. To an outsider like us, it felt like they are chaotic, but they were disciplined. Now, quality brings the aspect of discipline, and creativity introduces the aspect of chaos. Because what we need to understand is that without chaos, there is no progress. But without discipline, there is no performance. Without chaos, there is no progress. But without discipline, there is no performance and there is no outcome. So what does quality bring? The focus on quality brings predictability, that you know this is going to work and this is not going to work. It brings measurability, and thanks to a statistical process control, we have a good hang of how things can get measured. As a result, it brings reliability, and the whole focus of quality somehow is on reducing variance. Whereas what creativity brings to the table is the exact opposite of that. Creativity introduces uncertainty. Creativity embraces and entertains risk-taking. It embraces unpredictability, and as a result, in quality, while we look at reducing the variance, bringing things within the Six Sigma, in creativity, we try to increase the variance. Now, if you ask yourself, what are you most comfortable doing? Are you more comfortable reducing uncertainty? Are you more comfortable embracing uncertainty? If you have been from a quality framework, from the quality school of thought, you might most likely gravitate towards the side of reducing uncertainty. But what we need to understand is the importance of experimentation and uncertainty. If I go back in time and I talk to you about the decades of 1960s and 1970s, and if I were to claim that quality can be a matter of institution, quality can be a matter of discipline, you might have laughed at me. But that happens to be true today. Thanks to the Japanese organizations and some of the US organizations, including NASA, quality can very well be a matter of discipline, can very well be measured, and can very well be taught and practiced and improved upon. If I were to say that the state of quality in the decades of 1960s and 1970s is pretty much the state of innovation today. Today, if I have to talk about innovative organizations, if I have to talk about creative individuals, I still have to bring in the aspect of personality. I have to bring in the aspect of what I call as cult. If I think of innovative companies, quickly the name that comes to my mind is an Amazon or an Apple or a Flipkart or a Big Basket. And the people whom I typically associate with would be an Elon Musk or the late Steve Jobs or the present day Jeff Bezos. But we somehow do not associate creativity or innovation at the level of the firm. And that's the discipline that possibly the realm of quality can bring to the discourse. The second aspect here is how do you build a culture of innovation? The holy grail for the current time and age is fostering a culture of innovation. And there are three aspects that we need to bear in mind to build a culture of innovation. The first aspect is talent. What kind of a talent do you bring to the table? And if I were to talk about talent, in one core aspect that we need to bring in is we need to ensure that the talent that we get onto the table into the organization has a very, very high level of diversity. Bring in a diverse talent. And that's the secret sauce of Silicon Valley. That's what has been the case with Bangalore because it has been very liberal. For a very long time, there was a case with Kolkata, which is now faded away, unfortunately, and with Bombay, because these cities embraced diversity of talent. The second thing is routines, and that's where quality brings a lot of discipline to the table. We somehow assume that routines is equal to process, routines is equal to SOPs, only partly so. Routines can be very, very effective when it comes to establishing a culture of innovation. Just to give you an example, if I look at McDonald's, for instance, you will be shocked to know that the attrition level at the frontline staff at McDonald's is as high as 160%. At 160%, roughly the frontline of McDonald's is getting revised every 6 to 8 months. Think about that. 8 months is all somebody wishes to stay at McDonald's. And yet the quality of French fries that you eat at McDonald's remains the same across the year throughout any outlet, regardless of who is serving you. The cleanliness, the service quality, and all of that. Which means in McDonald's, the intelligence is not so much in people whom they hire. The intelligence is in the routines. It's not who they are, it's what they do that makes it great. Keep that in mind. And as the focus has to shift away from who you hire to what they do, and that's where the imperative of routines. And why should somebody follow routines? Comes down the element of incentives. And the talent who comes to your organization, the routines that they follow, and the incentive that nudges them into doing something and something not, is all tied together with a sense of purpose. So if I were to really reduce my discussion to 2 slides, the first slide would be that how quality and creativity complement each other. Okay, instead of being at loggerheads to each other in fostering a culture of innovation, that's the point number 1. And the point number 2 is that how do you build a culture of innovation? Because that's something I studied extensively as a part of my PhD research on the innovation culture aspect. And of the 3 things, whenever we talk about innovation culture, we focus inordinate amount on the talent. What we dismiss altogether is the power of routines. And what I want you to, and what I would challenge you to do rather, is try to build institutions, try to build organizations that can withstand the flux of talent. You can't hold people from leaving you. Even at Amazon and at Google, you'll be surprised to know that an average employee stays in Amazon for only 11 months. Think about that. And ditto for Google. An average employee in Google stays only for 12 months. That's it. An average employee stays for 12 months. Now, when people come in and go out at such a rapidity, how do you maintain a culture of innovation? Which means you do not look at hiring great people and cutting them loose, but you also look at the quality of your systems, the quality of your processes that can withstand the shock of people coming in and going out. So I'll stop here. I would let More questions come in as we go around. Only 2 slides I had. So thank you, Ved, and thank you, Anand, for the opportunity. Back to you.
Thank you, Pawan. Yeah, some again very interesting examples you took of McDonald's and Amazon. And I really liked your first slide, which talked of lack of chaos means there's no progress happening, and lack of discipline means it has an impact on performance. Right. So this is something that quality fraternity needs to be aware of. Pawan, I'm not going to let you go. You didn't talk about your book launch that is happening. Congratulations in advance on that.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I've been writing this book for almost 18 months now, and this book was on design thinking, and this book is getting launched by Penguin Random House. So last year in August, Penguin reached out to me, looking at some of the work which I've been doing on design thinking. Let me quickly flash the book. Here's the book.
Can't see it. Are you sharing?
Yeah, I'm just sharing it now.
So do we get an autographed copy of yours if we order?
Where you do because your name is in the book, by the way.
Oh,
Wade's name is in the book.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So this book is published by Penguin, and this is called Design Your Thinking. And privileged to get some real good reviews from Vijay Govindrajan and a couple of other people, both from the academic as well as the non-academic side of the world. So I'm really thrilled about it, and the book is up on Amazon right now, and soon we'll be getting. So officially it will be launched only next week, but the book is getting listed in the soft copy, which is Amazon Kindle right now. So that's where we stand. So it's some 400 pages of text.
Congratulations. We are the lucky ones to see it over here. Thank you and all the best. Best wishes.
Yeah, very perfect.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
We are privileged. Yeah.
Thank
you so much.
So Pawan, before I let you go, there is one question from Madhusmita Nayak, specifically on your talk. It is about how much balance should be the discipline and creativity trait a quality professional should possess to safeguard risk. So what's the balance between discipline and creativity for a quality professional?
So 2 dimensions that you need to bear in mind. The first one is in the industry in which you are operating, and I'll give you an example. Yesterday I was doing a program with Flipkart. I was doing a design thinking program with Flipkart. So last time we met 2 months back, and now we are meeting again. Look at what happened in these 2 months with Flipkart. Big Basket got bought over by Tata. Big Bazaar got bought over by Reliance in just a matter of 2 months. And as the whole scheme of things that they were competing with has got changed. Amazon is having a lawsuit against Reliance on the acquisition of Big Basket. Alibaba is pulling their stake out of Big Basket, and these guys were celebrating their big billion day. If you're working in a high velocity environment called the VUCA economy, such as Amazon, you need to have the ability of embracing chaos. See, you don't introduce chaos. Chaos happens to you. But the response of chaos is very important. There are many people, and I'll give you the analogy between a monkey and a kitten. Now, when chaos happens, a kitten, kind of freezes in fear, whereas a monkey leaps and laps and tries to see what can possibly be done. And that is where I think we all need to be the proverbial monkeys who are not fearing chaos, but they're embracing chaos. But if you're working in a low velocity industry, and I would qualify IT as still a relatively low velocity industry as compared to the e-commerce industry, you can still afford to detest chaos, but not for too long also. Because I think chaos is the nature of the game going forward. And if pandemic has taught us anything, it is the ability to be agile. So I would now rather want you to embrace chaos in your personal life. And there are 3 ways to embracing chaos. The first way I would recommend strongly is to experiment. Experiment with the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the places you go to, the books you read, your sleeping pattern, your eating pattern. Experiment voraciously. Second thing is introduce variation in your life, which is by picking up hobbies essentially and meeting different people. And the third is stop taking yourself very seriously. Just to complete the statement, stop taking yourself very seriously, because the truth of the matter is nobody takes you seriously, right? Nobody takes you seriously. So chill out. That's my view.
I think, yeah.
I hope that addresses
yes,
the question.
The last one especially, I think it needs to be internalized by quality professionals. They do take their things very seriously. They are the watchdogs in the organization. They need to probably embrace chaos in some of the techniques that you pointed out, and then gravitate towards what Qualinomics has to offer. Professor Mahesh, there are a couple of questions on Qualinomics, but I'll come back later. I would like to introduce Dr. Vijay Sundar now. He's a professor of practice at Indian School of Business, Hyderabad, with focus on Industry 4.0 topics for operational excellence. He has led business process excellence at Citibank, American Express, Barclays, the World Bank, just before he joined ISB. He has been a Six Sigma Master Black Belt, a Lean Master, an ISO 9000 auditor, and incidentally, he has trained more than 1,000 people in Lean Six Sigma. So he's a great trainer as well. He has managed RPA and AI/ML kind of initiatives in the organization. And just like Pawan, he's also an author. He has authored 2 books on quality management and published more than 30 research papers. He's a PhD in operational excellence from IIT Madras. So we have Professor Mahesh also having an IIT Madras footprint. He's a distinction holder in MBA from Sri Sathya Sai University and a gold medalist in his engineering from Anna University. And recently he was recognized with Government of India's Bharat Vikas Award for contributions in the field of quality management. So welcome, a warm welcome to you, Dr. Vijay Sundar. And I'd like to listen to your views on marriage of quality with technology, especially with the technological advancements that have happened, the digital transformation journeys that organizations are undertaking. So what's the innovation aspect of it? What are the sectoral applications? What is the impact on top line and bottom line for companies? So over to you, Dr. Vijay Sundar.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Ved, for giving me this opportunity.
Do you have a presentation? Do you have a presentation, Vijay?
Yes, I do have a presentation.
I'll make you. I'll give you the rights there. Okay.
But before that, is my voice loud and clear to all of you?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
You are a presenter also now, so you can do that. Over to you. Thank you. Welcome.
Let me quickly share my screen. Please let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, we are.
Yes, yeah. Put it in the slideboard. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Slideshow. Yeah.
Great. So let me kind of reflect on what I heard from Professor Mahesh and then from Dr. Pawan. I personally learned a lot of things from both of their presentations. It was wonderful to hear the traditional view of quality and then mixing quality with creativity and handling chaos. It was really wonderful for me to listen to both of them. Now, let me introduce this concept called the quality technology marriage. When I put this word called marriage on my slide, initially I was thinking, will it be appropriate to this audience? Am I talking really professionally well here or not? But after listening to Dr. Pawan, after listening to the word chaos and structure, which should gel well into organizations today, I felt I picked up a right word here. Today, what I'm going to talk is about the quality technology marriage, which is most important for today's digital era where we are living in. So first, let me start with the traditional way of looking at quality, how we lived at quality all this while in the past. When I asked the definition of quality to some of the professionals, say 15 years ago, everybody said quality is about defect-free output. It is about 0 defects is quality. Somebody said customer satisfaction is quality. And a few of us also said that building a culture is quality. But today, if I ask the same question to some of the organizational leaders, specifically in manufacturing and service sectors, the definition of quality appears to have changed, right? I mean, producing a defect-free output to our customers today have become a hygiene factor. There is nothing exciting about that today, because that is what is expected at a basic level of any organization, not for a competitive advantage, but for its survival in the market. Now, there is also research about quality management delivering positive impact on firm performance. There's a lot of literature about it, and all the practitioners who are listening to this presentation may not deny in agreeing that quality management, of course, contributes positively to the firm performance. Recently, I had an opportunity to interact with a few of the quality professionals in a session called Quality Professionals, Where Our Careers Are Heading. That was the webinar which I attended. And many of the practitioners appeared to be very apprehensive about where our careers are heading in quality management, because today everybody is talking about Industry 4.0, they're talking about digital technologies. Do we still need quality management as a specific career? Was a question which was asked by many professionals. So this is where I want to complement Dr. Pawan's idea of marrying chaos and the structured thinking, marrying creativity and the discipline. So if I extend that to a technology aspect, what we see today is the technology contributing to the firm performance. And traditionally, everybody agrees that quality management contributes to the firm performance. Now the question is the information technology or the digital technologies that we're talking about, are these contradicting with our quality management principles? Or do we need to create an ecosystem where both of these complement each other? And that is the question in front of all the quality professionals today. I would prefer to complement it. I would say that if we the marriage of quality management with technology, the Industry 4.0 technologies, would create a great ecosystem to enhance the firm performance, and what we call as the accounting of quality, or the Qualinomics, or the economics of a firm, would be significantly enhanced by this marriage. And I can show several examples from real-time case studies of what I mean and why I say that quality technology marriage is working today. Now, let me pick up a few examples. The first one, we all have heard about this recent robot, which was serving as a receptionist in the Fortis hospital in Bengaluru, in India, right? So as soon as the COVID hit and the uncertainty was all around, we heard this great robot called Mitra, which was introduced to do the customer engagement management in Fortis hospital. So the robot was capable enough not only to capture what customer wants, the patients who entered into the hospital, the update the database with the patient information, also help patient go to a right doctor for their expected service. So here there is a marriage of quality and the technology which is very evident. It's not just about reducing errors in prescriptions. It's not just about reducing the turnaround time of patients waiting in the hospital. It's more about how can we enhance this overall effect and give customer with the state-of-art technology experience in order to enhance the customer engagement. And that is what we can learn from the Fortis Hospitals example. Now let me jump on from the healthcare example to a banking example. I mean, not truly a bank, but a developmental organization. While I was working with the World Bank a few years ago, I saw that World Bank introduced something called as a Bond I. So the Bond I is an acronym which stands for Blockchain Operated New Debt Instrument. So the first of its kind blockchain operated debt instrument was introduced by the World Bank. And when they introduced it, the original purpose was to enhance their debt sales process, debt instrument sales process, or the bond sales process. But what they have observed is not just the bottom line impact which they were expecting, but a huge interest was garnered between the investors looking at the state-of-art technology of blockchain because it is more secure, more transparent, and attracted a lot of new investors towards this bond eye. So this is a classic example where the bottom line and the top line impact which the quality management has been delivering all this while is now getting enhanced by 10x, 100x, or even more than that with the contemporary technologies like blockchain. Now let me jump on from banking to say manufacturing. So I know most of you know about this famous organization called John Deere. It's a US-based agricultural equipment manufacturing company. You know what they sell? They don't just sell the manufacturing, the agricultural equipment. They also sell, in the model of servitization, they also sell a decision support system to their customers. So it's not just about selling their tractors or plowing equipment, etc., but all they have is Internet of Things enabled equipment with them. So when a farmer is basically trying to plow and contemplate on what should he do to get a better harvest in the next few months, John Deere's equipment will help farmers to make those decisions. By using the sensors, they capture the climatic changes, the weather conditions, the rainfall, the humidity, the pressure levels, the soil quality, the seed quality, etc., and use a great data analysis in order to provide a digital display of what would yield farmer a better harvest. So imagine how our agricultural sector could transform by such an enablement of marrying quality with technology. Right now, talking about manufacturing has been there in our books of quality for several years. Now let me talk about education sector. This is something interesting, and also when the COVID hit and created the uncertain environment around us, the higher education sector had faced a lot of challenges. I mean, what we all were debating about online education for several years have become reality in the past several months. I would like to highlight the example of ETH Zurich, a higher education institution in Switzerland. I have seen many B schools and many technical education institutions which take the students to the field. I have taken many of my students in operations and supply chain management courses to a factory visit to give the students an experience of how a factory looks like. What is a Kanban? What is just in time? And how is it all operated in real time? Many professors have done that in the past. But what is new here with ETH Zurich is it did not take the student to the factory. Rather, it got the factory to the student. They used this technology of virtual reality. They provided the glasses for the students where they can actually see the factory sitting in the classroom real time. So that is the kind of experience where the quality of education and the technology enablement in education sector can create the marriage, and the impact has been tremendously high when it was realized. Let me also talk about the last example that I have about my most favorite topic, which is food. Spice is a robotic restaurant in Boston. It is the first robotic restaurant which has introduced a technology where no human beings really cook food there. I mean, the cooking process, the serving process, the order taking process, right, everything in the value chain which we can observe in a restaurant has been automated through the robots, and it worked pretty well for them. So they created a new market by this marriage of quality and technology. So in short, if I have to summarize, what can this marriage of quality with technology can do for the current era of organizational leaders is several-fold. It can enhance the customer engagement from where the quality starts. It can enhance the bottom line and the top line impact which all the quality professionals have been yearning for past several years. It can delight the customers more than what they really want. By delivering a decision support system, we have seen how John Deere delighted its customers. It can bring product or service to the customer rather than taking the customers to the product or service. And finally, it also helps to define new markets which is of high interest to the top management of any organization. Right? So in summary, the technology and quality marriage is something which you all have to embrace in the current digital era. And that is where they both don't fight or contradict with each other, but they both marry and complement each other to create synergies. Thank you very much, Ved, for giving me this opportunity. Thanks, Anand and Chandra and others for listening to me patiently. I can pick up if you have any questions.
Thank you, Professor Vijay. So it was very interesting to see how new technologies, like whether it is IoT or virtual reality or others that have been coming in, are becoming mainstream in businesses, and hence the quality professionals have to scale up to meet those requirements. So that's a very good message that you have given, and some brilliant examples from many different industry sectors. So one of the questions I'd like to throw to the panel is around emanating from this only. How can quality professionals reskill themselves to transition to the realm of innovation and economics and technology? I mean, so quality professionals need to really go up on the skill chain as well. So any of you want to pick it up from the panel?
If I can make a comment, I mean, I come from a feeling that quality is everybody's job. Okay, that is to say, every single person in the organization must focus on quality as opposed to a separate, discrete quality department. You know, I agree that quality professionals need to move up the ladder, but the whole idea of quality is that everybody is involved in quality, understands their role in the game, as opposed to a separate QC department. Okay, so I think quality professionals should be part of the business, who then maybe focus on the quality aspect of the business. Somebody focuses on the marketing aspect, somebody else on the cost control aspect, but they really understand the business and they are part of it, rather than being just narrow quality professionals who go from industry to industry to industry. So that's my philosophy, you know, as opposed to just being quality consultant. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a good insight, Professor Mahesh. So even for knowledge management, the function that I have been more involved in, when I'm asked this question, how do you gauge the success of a KM function in an organization? I say the day it becomes redundant in the organization, I know it has succeeded. So possibly the same thing holds good for quality professionals as well, that it's in the DNA of the organization, every employee, every part.
That's the idea at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. So any thoughts, Professor Vijay, about what kind of skills, given that quality professionals are there, the quality function is there, yes, long term, they should get embedded in the organization fully. But what kind of skills do you see they should acquire to make a difference in the Industry 4.0 era and with all the technologies that you talked about?
Right. That's an interesting question. I mean, when we talk about the skills which are required, I think you are talking about how the future careers would emerge. Right? I mean, what kind of skills the quality professionals should develop for the future careers that are coming. I mean, if we look at the current changes happening in the market, I can see that there are two types of jobs that will emerge for which we need to develop skills. Firstly, the jobs where people can learn technology and use technology in order to create new products or services. The second kind of jobs is how to handle technology. You need not know how to code something, you need not know how to create something using a technology, but even if you know how to manage the technology, the new jobs will be aligned with your skill set. So the skills which needs to be developed in the current professionals should be either aligned with the learning the new technologies to create new products or services. That is where all the new learning has to happen, the unlearning and the new learning of the technologies. And the second dimension is how to manage the technologies. And this is where the leadership, the creativity, and the analytical skills play a major role.
Right. Thank you, Professor Vijay. In the interest of time, I think we are past 9 o'clock. If I could request all the three panelists, if they have to give one message to the quality professionals who are on this call, what would that be? We'll start with Dr. Pawan Soni. Pawan, what is your message to the audience over here?
Okay, so my message for the audience would be that the way industry has evolved from a focus on quality towards a focus on innovation, I think the professionals must also evolve, because increasingly we need to understand that you all got into the realm of quality, and now it's very important that we are not labeled strongly as a quality professional, but we are labeled as a professional first. Whatever next wave comes, embrace that wave, because the intent is to ensure that we are serving the industry, whether it is through quality or technology or innovation or creativity. So this is the time for us to re-innovate ourselves instead of clinging on to something which is increasingly becoming a hygiene issue. So that's my take on it. And the next wave has to be discovered by oneself. That's very, very important.
Thank you, Pawan. Professor Vijay, one message to the audience.
Right. I think the current situation, what all of us need to demonstrate is more agility. Quality professionals especially need to be more open-minded to embrace the changes which are happening in the form of technology, in the form of new business dimensions that are emerging today, which will have higher expectations, or which will reflect the higher expectations from the customers. So I would say, if I have to put it in a single sentence, it's time for all of us to exhibit agility towards learning the new changes happening around us.
Thank you, Professor Vijay. And finally, Professor Mahesh.
Oh, I'd just like
your
to
parting words to the audience.
Follow up on what Dr. Vijay Sundar said about knowing how to use something as opposed to being an expert in coding. There's an analogy I always give students in class whenever it's technology or any new statistical tool. We need very few mechanical engineers to design and build automobiles, but everybody needs to know how to drive an automobile or a scooter or a motorcycle or whatever. Driving skills are universal. The mechanical engineering skills are very limited. And so in the same sense with quality, we need to teach a lot more people how to use quality. And I think that's really a very fundamental issue, as opposed to the mechanics behind it, which is just one person. But everybody needs to know how to navigate in traffic. Much more important with Indian traffic, but still they need to know how to maneuver around it. And that's really something, how to use the tools is really very critical. And
excellent analogy.
We should also teach people to use the tools, because that increases the value of the tools. If you think about Excel, it's valuable because everybody uses Excel. That's what makes it valuable. So the same thing in quality, if we disseminate using quality to more people, then quality becomes more valuable. The whole science.
Yeah.
Okay, we just want to
thank you for
the perspective. It's very good presentations, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd like to extend my thanks to all three of you, my fellow panelists, Professor Mahesh, Professor Vijay, and Dr. Pawan. It was really interesting to listen three different aspects of Qualinomics from each of you. I'm sure there are lots of takeaways for the audience. There are a few more questions, but we don't have the time to take them forward. So maybe there can be an offline process. Anand, you can facilitate that so that we can still address those questions later.
Yeah, certainly. But I think before we conclude this, because of technical glitch, while we heard you in the panel discussion, we could not hear about you. So I'm requesting Chandra to please take a few seconds and give an introduction about Ved. Over to you, Chandra. Now you please unmute yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Chandra?
Hello.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Yeah, we heard Ved, but we have to also hear about Ved.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Anand. I would like to thank on behalf of Service Knowledge Base, both the India Quality Association and ASQ, that is Anand, Bala and Anindya, coming together and joining hands to conducting this event in this quality month. And also, I would like to share my heartfelt wishes for all the participants, speakers, panelists.
Chandra, may I intervene? We will have the Thanksgiving little after 5 minutes. I request you to please talk about Ved here.
Yeah. Sure. Ved is a recognized leader in the AM area with a global experience of 28 years in the strategic roles and business and operational responsibilities. He currently is with Trions as the Chief Knowledge Officer, that is CQO. Prior to this, he is spearheading the knowledge management at CGI. He also led large transformation programs there across Asia Pacific. Ved was with Wipro prior to that for 2 decades, where he was performing CQO role. Under his leadership, Wipro had a lot of proud recipient global and Asian Make Awards, which is also granted as a US patent on KM. Among other senior leadership roles, Wipro also had the Solution Delivery Head for Healthcare and Life Sciences vertical. Wipro Ved holds an MBA from IMB and is an engineering graduate and is a gold medalist in computer science. With that note, I would like to thank again.
Chandra, hold on just for a minute. So we have I request all the participants. There are 2 more items before I invite SM Bala to do the vote of thanks. Thanks, Chandra, for sharing the info about Ved. So we have actually come up with a website for India Quality Association, and we would like to use this August occasion to launch India Quality Association website. And I would request Professor Mahesh to do the honor for launch of this website. I would request Archana to please, you have the presentation right. Can you put the site on the screen? And I need blessings from all of us so that this website serves its purpose. Over to you, Archana. Archana, are you there?
Yes, Anand. Yes, I'm here. I'm just sharing the.
Yeah, I've given you the presentation rights there.
Yes, yes. Are we able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes. This is the.
Yeah, I request Professor Mahesh, to please do the honor.
Okay, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Click on it?
Yeah. So just your blessings.
Maybe yes, your
okay.
2 cents.
Let's hope this is a very successful site and has good and significant growth. Okay, my best wishes for the site.
Thank you so much. And I just request Anand to just walk us through some of the key sessions, because over the last 1.5 years, though this has been formed, in the last 9 months, the blessings of the pandemic situation, I would say, or the kind of the need of the hour, that a lot of quality professionals have come in and very actively put together like a professional organization. That's what Bala keeps telling Anand and all of us. We have set our own vision, our mission. We have a charter, and then we have a whole lot of events that we have taken up upon ourselves. One of the professional services. Anand, do you want to talk about it? I'm just taking.
No, go ahead, Archana, go ahead.
Yeah, so we've got the vision, mission, the charter very clearly. We have got the sub teams who are driving around competency development, standard and model development, and one of the areas that we have the chief knowledge officer and the knowledge guru here, Ved, who is also helping us drive the knowledge management initiative, along with the quality culture promotion and portfolio management and rising to the occasion, which Anand is very fond of, which we call it as the RTTO. What do we do around quality management, taking in mind or keeping in mind the unprecedented scenario that we are all going through? And keeping that in mind, I think on the mentoring framework, we've coined this word. We're very proud of this. We've called it as the me nurturing towards your role enhancement. And I think we need more and more members to participate on this. And these are the nominations and the team members who are working with the areas as mentor and mentee, both from the quality community, thankfully today. And we've got about 22 of us core members who are involved very much onto this activity. While we're talking about these mentor-mentee services, the other offerings that we have are around the coaching, the counseling, and the center of excellence that we are trying to build around the various multitudinal dimensions of the center of excellence, which revolve around quality, right? Because we do audits, we do assessments, we do metrics, we do performance analytics, we do benchmarking, we do continuous improvement, we do CSAT, and we do operations, and in some organizations we do PMO, and then we do learning and development, and then we also expected to now, do a whole lot of many things considering the pandemic situation at hand. We just heard the panelists as well as the experts talk about what are all the things that we need to do to bring.
Just click on the COE part. Just click on the COE part, Archana. Click on the COE part.
Sure, Anand.
Under professional services.
These are the COE leaders here. This is what we are trying to build in as a. In fact, we've even had multiple conversations with the FICCI organization, and in some of the areas we would like to, in the next international webinar, you'd see a lot of work that we would do around their organization unit as well. And of course, the last section that I would like to introduce is on the award section. Anand, you want to talk about this? This is our newest baby on board.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks, Archana. This is where now I look forward to the experts here in designing this what we call as an IQA award, which is India Quality Achievers Award. And some of the highlights of this award is we want to expand the various segments. As Professor Mahesh said, that in the segment which were not basically touched by these award initiatives, because like the quality is also dedicated to a certain section of industries, certain section of domains, the awards are also being given in the similar domains. So as it is mentioned in the category, we want to cover right from academics to agriculture to all those business areas, MSMEs, and more important here, apart from recognizing the organizations, we would like to recognize the professionals more. That is one key thing which we are thinking about designing this IQ award. And the second is that we want to give award in various segments, like people in the 0 to 5 years of professional experience, 5 to 10 years, 10 to 20 years, 20 to 30, and like 30 plus. Because what we have noted is most of the awards are given to the heads of the function. But the encouragement is required to be given at entry level and the mid level so that they are more enthused and motivated what we discussed about innovating and giving performance from the quality function to the organization. As we have already passed through, I think I will stop here. I will invite all of you to please visit our website, and as it is in a very early stage, please give all your feedback, and with your feedback and contribution, we are going to make this a successful website. We are planning to announce the first edition of awards somewhere in March, and we will have the ceremony of awards somewhere in May 2021. We are looking at to do it a biannual exercise every 6 months. These are the people behind the effort. We call them a steering team, and no words to thank our mentor. So you come to the management team. Our mentor for this India Quality Association is Mr. S.M. Bala. And with this, I invite S.M. Bala to please do a vote of thanks because he was busy in his son's wedding. But despite that, he has been helping us from all the directions, and his advice and his directions are all the way right from beginning are coming to us, and we look forward to his continued support. Over to you, S.M. Bala.
Thank you, Anand. It's indeed a big accomplishment, if I should say, considering that both the India Quality Association and Service Knowledge Base are babies compared to ASQ in terms of its longevity. They have risen up to the occasion to conduct online seminar of 3 hours duration, joining hands with ASQ. I think it's a good potpourri of multiple dimensions of the topic. The title for the topic came from Service Knowledge Base, and the details were worked out by IQA. ASQ decided to join hands to complement. and it was in a very short time 3 organizations coming together and putting up a good show. First of all, I should thank all the speakers for putting up an excellent show. From different corners of the earth, their perspective and their insights are very valuable to the participants. The pandemic has enabled us to listen to many of us. Many of them earlier we used to wait for their physical presence for such sessions, but thanks to technology, which Dr. Vijay was talking about, we are able to leverage that to listen to people across the globe, and certainly it is enriching our experience and our knowledge big time. Personally, I know most of the speakers of today, and I had no doubt in them adding significant value to this session, and our expectations are really fulfilled. So let me thank the speakers of the evening today for their time and effort, and we look forward to more and more contributions from them. Secondly, to the 3 organizations which put together this show, ASQ, a well-known organization of a very long-standing service knowledge base, which is focusing a lot on the ITIL segment. They have been conducting weekly webinar on various dimensions of service industry, bringing in topics and speakers from different walks of life, and the India Quality Association, which is taking its baby steps. And finally, without the great presence of the participants, no event can be successful, and we had a good number of registration thanks to the 3 organizations, and certainly this will be, I think it is being recorded and it will be made available in the websites of these 3 organizations. And I look forward to more and more such collaborative working and delivering the expectation to the community, as Dr. Mahesh said, going beyond a closed group of quality fraternity, expanding it to a business professional. As Dr. Vijay said, you become professional rather than a quality professional. So thanks again for all the people involved, and we look forward to more and more such sessions in future. Thank you, and over to Anand.
Thank you, Bala. I think we are already at 9:20 p.m. India time. So without taking any more time, I want to thank all the 3 organizations, Anindya, Chandra, and all the steering team of India Quality Association. Thank you very much. Have a nice day ahead. Have a good night. And we look forward to continued support and contribution and make the quality a function, a business function, as somebody said, a real professional to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Anand. Thank you, Bala.
Thank you, everybody.